All right, so we are going to talk about suppressing appetite. Why would I talk about suppressing appetite? Suppressing appetite has, it's a topic that most people do bring up at some point when they're going through the ketogenic diet or when they're attempting to lose weight. Like their appetite becomes their god. As it rises or lowers, they feel great when the appetite's low, but when the appetite rises, it becomes like, oh, this isn't working. Oh, I can't do this. And as you study what makes appetite stronger or less, there's some easy things, some kind of hacks that I'm going to teach you about. I think some of them are not probably as great to use on your body as others, but I think it's worth just learning about. So suppressing appetite, that's what we're talking about. And we are going to first start with using stimulants. So a stimulant is something that you can come to a physician and we can write you a prescription for. But stimulants are something that increase your heart rate. They do suppress appetite. They often increase the way the brain function works. You're going to know some of these easy ones as caffeine. I'm a huge fan of coffee, and I think the antioxidant effects of coffee have been well shown for over 2,000 years. So I don't have much negative to say about coffee. But it does fall into some of the same limitations that other stimulants have. The catechins are the similar product that's found in tea. Tea does have caffeine in it, but good teas, especially ones that are not moldy, that really do take the concentration of a tea and use it as, you have to drink either a lot of tea or you have to find a way to concentrate the tea to get your catechins high enough to make a significant impact. But catechins will also stimulate the body. They will increase the heart rate a little bit. They will suppress the appetite. And finally, the one I put, there's about 15 of them that I could have put on here. Some of them are really popular in the nutraceutical world. I could, of course, put the prescription medications for Adderall or other ADHD type of medications. Cocaine would have been on there, but nicotine is also a stimulant. And when I look at nicotine versus caffeine, first response is that nicotine is banned and you shouldn't have it. But I would caution physicians, but I would also caution patients to say that's not true. Nicotine is a stimulant, and nicotine does not cause the lung cancer or the COPD or the emphysema. The tobacco causes that. The really carcinogenic effect of a cigarette isn't from the nicotinic acid that stimulates the body, it's from the tobacco part. When you look at what nicotine does for increasing your heart rate, really increasing brain function, and suppressing appetite, it works very similarly to caffeine or one of the catechins. The problem with the stimulants are that they have tachyphylaxis. That word means that the more you use them, the less effectively they work. So caffeine or nicotine are really great to use intermittently. That would mean that you shouldn't have it every day, and I'm completely guilty of loving my coffee every single day. Every single day. I don't even try anymore. But when you look at how they are best used as appetite suppressants, it's as if it's after they've had a time where you did not use them. All of these stimulants also do things like raise your blood pressure. They are great at suppressing appetite, but the length of time that appetite suppression works is relative to how much you've overused them. So again, stimulants are part of the equation, but they're not the answer for everything. What I like to focus on, which is a little better for your system, is how can you do a metabolic shift? And when you do a metabolic shift, how does that suppress appetite? Let's talk about that. So a metabolic shift, again, is pushing the body to send signals between the cells that suddenly it's not so important to eat. It is much more important to deal with the issue at hand. So exercise is one of those ways to push appetite down, and really your body starts focusing on the other reasons why you're running so fast. So today it might be a treadmill, or it might be that you're at the gym, but evolutionarily speaking, that exercise was a time where it's not appropriate to be hungry, it's not appropriate to be eating. It is in a really good time to give all of the power that's needed to get away from whatever's chasing you. The next one is a raise in your body temperature. And this brings me back to the earlier part of the message I was talking about, which is I was in the sauna. So I've been using the sauna for, I mean, I've had one in our house for a few years. When we moved into this house, there was one there, and I'm thinking, I hate being hot, so this is not fun for me at all. But in true fashion, my husband's like, no, 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 there's really good evidence behind why a sauna is a very good part of just, health. And, and I'm like, I want nothing to do with the sauna. And I was pretty big in a routine of going to CrossFit, probably 3 to 5 times a week. Well, that season faded, and then coronavirus, and then anyway, I haven't been back to the gym in probably 6 months now. And I have been using, it turns out my husband was right. There's plenty of evidence that when you raise your body temperature, specifically if you get it high enough to hit a body temperature of 101.5, you have ignited a metabolic shift. You've also expressed something called a heat shock protein, which changes the way your cells recycle. It also changes the way your body prioritizes fuel, and it's associated with a suppressed appetite. So looking at times when I've been trying to, I think if you've watched the show for the last few weeks, since the death of my dad, I've been trying to do a 72-hour fast for 8 weeks. This week marks the 7th week, I think. And I think I'm going to make it to 8 weeks for 72-hour fasts. And I'm fascinated how much better I am at saying no during the fast. I still seem to trip over myself when I go to break my fast because I really am. I feel entitled to eat just about anything I want, actually. But watching the struggle of what do you do when you're in the middle of a fast and you're trying really hard to not eat, using prayer has been a huge part of my journey these last few weeks. But as I look at other things that I've done to suppress my appetite in vulnerable moments, the sauna has turned out to be an amazing fix. Like if I do a sauna, I don't want to eat for at least 12 hours. It's shocking to me. And I like to eat. But it also has been a really impressive marker of what it does to my metabolic numbers. My glucose will be suppressed. My ketones are a little higher. This makes obvious sense when you look at the stress that heat, that fluctuation of heat did to my mitochondria. And again, I am keto adapted, so I can respond to that pretty well. The other way, and this has to do with my mud bath, is to lower the body temperature. I am not so good at this yet. So I put some cool water into the bathtub after I was a little in the sauna a little too long. I think I hit one of the temperatures. I try to take pictures of the temperature as I take it. I think I hit 104. So I want to say that was a defect in the thermometer, but I got it twice. So it was, and I was really hot. It was probably too long in the sauna, but I counterbalanced this by dumping some of that clay into a cool bath, and I took a mud bath. And oh my goodness, I slept so well that night. It was amazing. And I was in the last part of my fast, which I usually am crabby and irritable and I don't do very well. But that metabolic stress that happens during a shift in your body temperature does suppress appetite. Unlike stimulants, it doesn't wear out. Like you can do this several times and it's like a little workout for your mitochondria. For any of you that have fasted that 72 hours or you're pushing to a 48-hour fast for the first time, you can find that the night before you break your fast, or the longest you've made it, you can really wake up in the middle of the night with all these ketones and all this energy that is it does not work out well in a real life. I mean, yes, you can have some great numbers, but it's 2:30 in the morning. I don't want to be awake now. But one way to counteract that is to burn fuel before you sleep. Well, I haven't been good at this exercising thing for the last few months, and so I've really used the sauna, and then that particular night where I did the mud bath, I did the sauna, got a little overheated, and took a nice cool mud bath. Oh my goodness, I slept so good, and my ketones did not do that really overshoot spike thing at 2 in the morning that often wake me up and really have been a sour taste in my mouth to say, why do I keep doing this? So if I'm able to lower those ketones enough on that final night of my fast that I get a good night's sleep and I can go to work the next morning and everything's, you know, I'm not sleep deprived because I was up for 3 hours, I really have been thankful for just this little hack of getting my system to burn ketones without running on a treadmill. So the point I'm making is that metabolic shift, why did it work? When you look at changing the metabolism, it is because you shift fuel. Specifically, if you're looking to suppress appetite, it is a very well-documented process that an elevated level of ketones suppresses appetite. Now, you'll hear people on a ketogenic diet say, I'm just not hungry, I'm just not hungry. And indeed, that is partly from the new resource of using ketones for their energy. So when I look at people who are trying to hack this, like who could suppress their appetite? Number one, you can swallow ketones. The people that I push to swallow ketones, so yeah, I actually separate this out into either swallowing ketones or making ketones. So if you swallow ketones, those are, I would encourage people that are not keto adapted. So they're early in the ketogenic diet. They're just trying to like dabble with how this feels. I really encourage my patients with brain injuries or depression or even some of the metabolic disorders like multiple sclerosis or like a Parkinson's process. I'd say just don't try to get all the rules right. Don't try to step over the threshold of a ketogenic diet on day one. Let's start by just feeding some of your mitochondria ketones in a can. And it truly is, you do not have to be keto adapted to use them. Not only that, if you have the world's worst gut, and I mean, I get lots of folks writing in saying, Dr. Bosworth, I have had a gastric bypass. I don't understand how I can get past this next hurdle in my journey because my gut is not designed like a human gut anymore. The surgeon cut out a section of it. And by golly, the first thing I tell them is we need your body stimulating autophagy and getting closer to a metabolic shift. And the fastest hack is to swallow the salts called BHB salts, which, again, I didn't put my energy and retirement behind these products because they were kind of okay. They were dramatically shifting the course that my patients were on by using them early in their journey. Again, I've said this many times. I'll say this many more times. I do not intend for people to be on them for life. I want them transitioning and using that to say it doesn't have to be as hard. That process of swallowing ketones can really dramatically shift how their brain starts to use not just glucose for fuel, but also begins using ketones for a fuel. When they're not keto adapted, it really is, it's difficult. We're talking about suppressing your appetite, and I'm going to show you some other ways to suppress your appetite that I will use, but I'm keto adapted. I've been at this for a few years. My metabolism will quickly go from one section to the next. So let's move on to if you are keto adapted. That would be somebody like me, been on the ketogenic diet for a while.
Please subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. Stay tuned.